Hello, and welcome to the Circuit Breakers interview series. I'm your host, Steve Semler, and today I'm joined by Scott Hislop, who's the CEO and owner of Transworld Business Advisors Northstar. These are business sale experts helping entrepreneurs achieve their dreams and goals by guiding them through the complex process of selling or acquiring a business. So I'm eager to hear more. Scott, thank you for joining us. Would you like to kick us off with kind of the brief background as to who you are and what you do?
Sure. Yeah. Good morning, Steve. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning. Yeah, I own the Transworld Business Advisors Northstar. Transworld is a franchise that we have a global presence, one of the larger low to mid market brokerage companies out there. So we have a presence in 18 countries, 48 states. And I'm on the franchise for Minnesota here, and we do business in Iowa and Wisconsin as well. But I'm a sixth generation farmer, and our son is took that operation over about 10 years ago. And in the course of that transition, I was looking for companies to buy and just didn't find that my needs were being met by with some of the other brokerage companies that we talked to. And that was the impetus to get into the business at that point. So worked really hard. Today we have about 35 folks that are on our team working to satisfy the needs of entrepreneurs looking to buy and sell the businesses. Where we all have similarities around our core values. So we're a traction company, and our core values are very important. So we hire and fire around those, and we're passionate about entrepreneurs. That at the end of the day, that's our passion, and both buyers and sellers looking to help them accomplish their goals. So.
Yeah, and how did you decide to get into the buying and selling this business broker piece?
Yeah, there's a definite void in that business. We're not the actual buyers or the sellers, right? So we're the intermediary helping fulfill the transaction, and it's not never is there a transaction at face value, meaning that you take this business at face value and you take this buyer at face value, and the two are a perfect match, right? It's understanding the needs and wants and goals of both sides, and how do we structure the transaction to be able to accomplish that. And that's not always an easy thing.
Yeah. So from your experience, what are some of the things that entrepreneurs need to know when they're thinking about selling their businesses?
Yeah, well, yeah. So lots of things there. Today, we company wide, we have about 2,500 buyer inquiries a week, across the entire network. So there's a lot of folks that are looking for a business. A large segment of those are people coming out of corporate world, working for a large public company, and they want to buy their own business to be in control of their own destiny. But it takes a lot of intestinal fortitude to go from making a large W-2 wage, weekly wage, to owning your own company, and maybe you don't have a paycheck every week, right? So, and you have to sign a personal guarantee, and maybe you have to mortgage your house and doing some things there. So that's probably the biggest thing. And when looking at the buyer side, the segment coming in, that do you really have the intestinal fortitude to pull the trigger and to do it? On the seller side, it's really identifying your goals, and the more you can prepare ahead of the sale, 3, 4, 5, 10 years. Some people say, the instant that you buy a business, you should be preparing that business for sale, which is a great strategy for sure. But looking at what your goals after the sale, and you need something to retire to. You can't retire from them without anything to retire to. So we always encourage people to, what's the master plan? What's your goals, and where are you going with that? And how do you, prepare the business, and how can we work with you to get your business to the point where it's maximum value, and you can get maximum value for the business to use on your next chapter.
Yeah. How does that come across to the business owners? And is that something that often they've thought about or they haven't thought about, or
Yeah, good question. Most sellers or business owners are so busy in their business and working in their business every day that they don't think about selling necessarily until they get to the point where they need to, or they want to. Oh my gosh, I'm going to retire in 2 years, and they're going to think about that. So those are really, those people that think about that sooner rather than later, pays big dividends. There's simple things like not being owner centric. The more the owner isn't involved in daily operations of the business, the higher the value of the business. So if the owner shows up on every other Thursday to sign checes and is on the golf course the rest of the time, those businesses are going to bring a higher value, right? So having systems and processes in place and tiered management, of course, those types of businesses are going to be higher value. So, as you a business owner looking in the next 10 years to sell, those are some things that they should think about and putting in place before they do.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing that from a business coaching standpoint, I help the businesses do is figure out what do you need to do to not only grow your revenue and profits, but also to make sure that you've got the systems, you've got the processes, you've got the people and the people strategies to be able to keep that going so that you can rather, work on the business rather than working in the business more often.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are the things that go on in your industry that you have to keep kind of up to date on? It's like new developments. What are the things that you have to kind of stay up to date on?
Yeah, well, certainly financing is a big piece of what we do. We do a lot of SBA financing, and working with lenders, understanding, the changes in the environment, changes in regulation, and those kinds of things are certainly a big piece of what we do. Dealing with emotions is one that you might not think about, but it's a highly emotional time. Next to marriage and children, selling or buying a business is the next biggest thing in someone's life. So, um, oftentimes, sorry, oftentimes, dealing with those emotions, outweighs financial decisions. People say that this is going to be a financial decision. No, it's not. It's an emotional decision, to buy or sell. And realizing that going into it and helping people through those emotions is a big piece of what we do.
Yeah. What are some strategies or tips that you found work well for helping the sellers, especially through that?
I mentioned, what are they going to next, and staying focused on the goals, and how is this transaction going to play part of that future goal for them, and staying focused on that is probably the biggest key there. So.
Yeah. So with all of the changes going on, the regulatory, the financing thing, and keeping track of it all, what do you do to kind of stay innovative and kind of break the routine, break that circuit of the routine that people can fall into?
Yeah, the funnest part about my job is assembling our team, and we have a team of folks that are range probably from 20 years old to 80, and everywhere in between, from all different backgrounds. We have young people, just out of college, to people that have owned, multi-million-dollar businesses and next CEOs of large companies on our team. Using that diverse background and that mix of leadership, to come together on a weekly basis to solve issues on individual listings, individual transactions is a pretty powerful thing. And we leverage that for sure, and I think we're among the best in the industry at coming up with creative solutions to get maximum value for the sellers and to accomplish the needs of what the buyers are.
Yeah. Well, neat. Well, if you could kind of wave a magic wand over your business and think 1 year out, what would be one thing that you would change and make better?
A lot of people don't know business brokerage is a relatively new industry, and a lot of people don't know that we exist. So we're not residential realtors, we're not commercial realtors. We're business brokers, and a lot of people don't know about that business. And you probably, our biggest competition, I mentioned to you before we started, is for sale by owner. And every week I see case after case after case where owners do that themselves and are leaving millions of dollars on the table, for lots of different reasons. But if there's one thing that I could wave a wand and make everyone understand is the value that whether they use us or use somebody, but the value of using somebody to help them through a transaction and don't do it themselves. That would be my wish.
Yeah. Especially, yeah, because that's such a complex thing to go through all the details. There's preparation, there's due diligence, there's all of the emotions involved. When you and your folks have the opportunity to be that expert advisor, that trusted advisor to them, I would imagine that makes a huge difference in their confidence and of course in the results you can help them get.
So on average, across all industries, it takes about a year, start to finish, to sell a given business. And there's a lot of things going on in that year, a lot of work and a lot of effort. And in addition to that, the most important thing for the seller is that year, that their revenues are strong, their KPIs are strong, their profitability is strong, and all of their focus needs to be on those things with the business and continuing to improve the business performance, and let us do those other things, with the sale and due diligence and dealing with buyers. There's not enough time to do both, and that's the downfall that sellers run into when they try to do it themselves. And if they focus on the things that we do, then their business is suffering, and they will not get the multiple, they will not get the value that they wanted to start with.
Yeah. So huge thing to keep in mind, for entrepreneurs kind of watching this particular video.
For
Um,
sure.
and flipping that forward too, I mean, what advice would you offer to aspiring entrepreneurs, and folks who are kind of facing ups and downs in their own business based upon your experience?
Lots of things there. Number one, that there's always opportunity, and it just changes. The number of people that have asked me in the last year, boy, your business must be really suffering because interest rates are so high. Well, it's changed. I wouldn't say suffering, things change, right? It's math. And so understanding how to deal with that, and how do we offset the higher interest rates with banks to keep the value with sellers, the same or higher. And it's always evolving and changing. The same with coming into a business. There's not an absolute best time. What's important is that you identify what you're passionate about as a buyer. Everybody wants a deal. Everybody wants to buy something at the right price. But more importantly than the right price is making sure that you're doing something that you're passionate about. And life is too short to be going to work every day or owning a business every day if you don't love what you do. And that's my message to buyers coming in, is make sure that you're getting into something that you love what you do.
How do you help them figure that out?
So we have a discussion, early on when buyers come in and talk and say, hey, what are you interested in? Well, it doesn't matter. It just needs to be the right price. Well, okay, time out here. So let's talk about that. That discussion. And if it doesn't move off of that price thing, or just want a deal, then they're probably not ready, and they probably aren't going to make a decision to move forward. But if they come and they're very specific about what they want, it needs to be in this industry, needs to be in this geography, needs to have these things, then certainly they're well down the road, and we can help them accomplish that.
Neat. Yeah. And some of the senior leader executive coaching work that I've done, some people said, either I want to get to a particular position, like I want to be COO, I want to be CEO, or I don't know what I want to do, but I want to be positioned for like executive level. And I'd say, well, let's take a look at what you're good at. Let's take a look at yourself first, what you know, and then let's do some comparison with what we know is required for success in that
Sure.
sort of area. So it sounds like you're doing kind of a similar process on the business side with folks.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay. Coming from the agriculture side, one thing that's kind of curious for me is to what extent are agriculture or ag-based businesses still attracting the kind of investment and interest that they had in the past?
That's changing too. We're never going to see an end to consolidation. In businesses are getting larger, industry segments are getting larger. We're working with a large machinery dealership at the moment that it's changing, right? The environment's changing. Commodity prices this last year are declining, and so it's a matter of understanding, again, where the directions they're going, what the sellers want to accomplish, and then how do we help them get there. And it's not going to be a traditional thing that it's just a simple sale. So it gets pretty complex understanding that and understanding the direction of a given industry of, how do we accomplish, what they want to do. So
Yeah, having that industry knowledge and being able to work with it and see and plan out far enough ahead seems to
yeah,
be a key.
for sure. And larger companies and you know um, they're, especially when you get into publicly traded companies, creativity is not their strong suit. It's very important for them to make quarterly returns and quarterly earnings, and focus on that. Long-term vision and strategy and creativity is definitely something that, we've worked with several here now in the last few months. Is something that we can bring to the table and really help in the deal.
Yeah, and that is an excellent place to be in terms of the value you provide and the unique position you've got in the market.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you, Scott. I really appreciate your time today and the insights that you're kind of sharing with us, and kind of the cautions for, hey, remember, this is not just a simple thing.
Yeah,
Help us, connect with Transworld to be able to get the best value and prepare and handle it
yeah,
properly.
yeah. No, it's a pleasure, Steve, and for sure, the business that you have as well, and providing value to business owners is certainly something that's needed out there. So yeah, appreciate your efforts.
Thank you much. Yeah.
All right.
So, folks watching, when you're faced with challenges and ups and downs in your own business, especially when you're thinking, I think on this topic, when you're thinking ahead, do absolutely think, where is it? What are you going to go to? What's going to be next? Consider these tips and kind of the ideas and things that Scott's been talking about here. And of course, feel free to reach out to me for coaching and training support. As always, I'm Steve Semler at FocalPoint Business Coaching, helping people be great leaders and helping businesses grow to where they need to be. Look forward to seeing you in our next episode. Thanks.